The topography of Abuja is undulating with hills and inselbergs that rise northwestwards to a maximum of 1,060 meters above sea level. The challenges to the Abuja Masterplan has mostly been the recalcitrance of developers feeding on the greed of residents who circumvent the rules in the chase for cheaper options, especially when it comes to housing. The population explosion has not helped either. Well, the FCT authorities have come to terms with the fact that towns evolve, and a review of the Abuja Masterplan is being discussed. In today's episode, we look at these review plans with the custodian of Abuja's Masterplan, right after we update you on the major stories from Nigeria's presidency. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I'm Kayla Megwa. Let's begin with the rundown of this week's major stories from Nigeria's presidency.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu embarked on a two-day official visit to the state of Qatar on Thursday, February 29, 2024, from Lagos to honor the invitation of His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Emir of the state of Qatar. According to a statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the President, Ajuri Ngelale, the visit is to further strengthen cooperation between the two nations in several areas, including security, cultural exchange, and economic development. Before leaving, President Bola Tinubu set up a tripartite economic advisory committee made up of the federal government, subnationals, and private sector in a bid to fashion out the best economic plan for the country. At the meeting, which took place in the presidential villa, the president called for a coordinated and concerted effort by every segment of the country to help breathe life into the economy.
To look at what we are doing right and what we are doing wrong, to bring life back to the economy. Like I said many times, the people of this country are only the people we have to please. And we are very much concerned, from the students to mothers, fathers, the farmers, the traders, and realizing that every one of us, we have to fetch water from the same well.
The Federal Executive Council has approved the implementation of part of the Orasanya report and met some parastatals, agencies, and commissions, while others will be subsumed, scrapped, or relocated. These, according to the Special Advisor to the President on Policy Coordination, Ms. Adiza Bala Usman, is in line with the need to reduce cost of governance and streamline efficiency across the governance value chain. The Senate has directed the Police Service Commission and the Nigerian Police Force to recruit a minimum of 10 candidates from each of the 774 local government councils in Nigeria in its annual recruitment process. The upper chamber gave the directive today during plenary after a motion moved by Senator Emmanuel Udende on the need to adhere to the federal character principle in the recruitment of constables into the Nigerian police force. The Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Barau Jibrin, says that the constitutional review will be concluded within 2 years. Senator Jibrin, who was the chairman of the 1999 Constitution Review Committee, stated these at the inaugural meeting of the committee. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Yemi Cardoso, has been speaking of why the Monetary Policy Committee raised the benchmark interest rate by 400 basis points to a record 22.75%. Mr. Cardoso, who disclosed this while reading the communique of the first MPC under the administration of President Bola Tinubu, explains that his decision is hinged on controlling the inflation rate and the foreign exchange market. The Federal Capital Territory Police Command have announced the arrest of Samaila Wakili Fafa, also known as Habu Ibrahim, the second of two wanted kidnappers on whom the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike had placed a 20 million naira bounty. In a statement signed by the FCT Police Public Relations Officer, Mrs. Josephine Ade, the kidnapper was arrested on February 24, 2024 at about 7:05 p.m. after operatives acting on credible intelligence stormed Sardana Forest in Toto local government area of Nasarawa State.
Welcome back. My guest on the program is the Executive Secretary of the Federal Capital Development Authority, Engineer Hadi Ahmed. And in this two-part interview, we examine the plans to review Abuja's master plan. Please watch this. Engineer Shehu Hadi Ahmed, welcome again to Dateline Abuja.
It's always a pleasure being on your program, Madam Kela.
The last time I saw you, we were discussing the housing in Lugbe,
Yes.
Trademore Estate.
The estate in Lugbe.
The estate in
Yes,
Lugbe.
yes.
What's the story now? What's happening?
I don't know where you meant the last, but maybe if I may remind you, at that time there was this issue of flooding, and we looked at that estate as one of such estates incubating water courses, which is built on water courses. And the resultant effect is that whenever there are heavy rainstorm, that acts the entire water course there floods, and it leads to a lot of challenges of loss of properties and at times very fatal loss of lives too. The issue is Trademore is one of so many of the estates, especially within the first 5 of the city, which is considered and still a planning area, and therefore we are not done with the planning scheme, but they have found themselves there, and there were a lot of challenges. Looking back, we had engaged them to draw their attention to this abnormality, and they were asked to present their papers to really affirm their having been there. But as far as I can tell so far, we are not convinced that Trademore is one of the lawfully allocated estate in that environment, and therefore we have been engaged in so many fronts, from so many fronts, as to see how FCT should temper justice with mercy to give another legislation. Also, and I think maybe even if it's a coincidence, this is a time to pick it up again because the rains are setting in, and most likely we are going to go into the same pandemonium of having environment in the FCT, especially Federal Capital City, which we call the Abuja of our dream, having areas, having challenges of flooding.
But let's get to the conversation itself. There is talk right now. You were represented at that event in Nasarawa State, I think.
Yes.
It was a press event.
I think the press corps.
Yes, it was the FCT press corps retreat. Yeah. And you were represented there. And one of the things that we picked from it was something that we had been waiting to hear, which is that there is going to be a review
of the
Abuja Masterplan.
This is affirming to you, yes. That means I have been well represented there.
Yes, it was Mr. Ndul, actually.
Yes, Richard Ndul is the head of the public.
Yes, it was Richard Ndul who said that. So let's talk about it. Let's start with the former master plan. What was it? What did it seek? Well, the master plan that we're using right now, what does it seek to, achieve? And in what ways has it not achieved those things that has called for its review?
Well, Abuja Master Plan, so to say, as a document, was first produced way back in the 70s, precisely 1979. And it came into operation in the early 80s, 81, 82 or so. That is the implementation of the provisions under the Abuja Master Plan. By Master Plan is a document which is supposed to guide the development of a planned city. And at the time we are talking about early 80s or late 70s, 79 when the document was conceived, there is no any city of Nigeria that is being developed on the basis of a master plan as was conceived for the Abuja. So a lot of considerations have been put into appropriation of the land, because the master plan is just a document which appropriates lands, just like you do budgets with money to define, I need this to spend. Similarly, when you have a vast land and you want to appropriate the land for special usage. So coming to say, what are the distortions? If an area had been appropriated for recreational, and because of some of the challenges that this city witnessed over time, and one of the vast challenges is influx of citizens, population influx into the city. It was true, more than just rapid, it was just geometric. Everybody sees Abuja as a place to come. On daily basis, if there are 10 people coming to Abuja, 7 to 8 are coming to reside, not to go back. Only few come to do business and go back. So the provision for Abuja in the original master plan was to have phases 1 to about 4. For a highest population, target population of 3 million. It's actually 3.1. As we speak, arising from this influx of people, we are housing, that is the FCT is housing more than 6 to 7 million people. That has not been planned for.
That's more than double
the
was planned
targeted population. And these are things you have to accommodate. Because Abuja is originally designed as an administrative hub. It's now a political hub. It's even an economic hub. Everybody is seek to come and find one, because this defines the seat of government. So these are things that you can clearly see as some of the things that have brought about the growth of overshooting what were actually the provisions for originally in the Abuja Master Plan.
So how much distortion are we talking about here? When you look at Abuja, you're the custodian of this plan.
Yes.
When you look at Abuja and you look at the plan, does it even look alike in any way?
I can tell you categorically, no. To all extent, when the Abuja Master Plan was conceived, there are boundaries that define what will form the city. There are boundaries that define what will form the territory. Well, the territorial boundary cannot be adjusted, it's constitutional. The city boundary arising from growths, we have found that there are developments well beyond the bounding roads. We call it Outer Northern Expressway, which is Kubwa Expressway on one side, or Muhammadu Murtala Mohammed Expressway for that. And then there is the Outer Southern Expressway, which is this Muhammad Yusuf way from Villa Roundabout down to Apo also, Apo Mechanic up to Wasa. That defined in the initial stage what will be the envelope of the city. As we speak, there are developments beyond these boundaries. These are fringes, urban fringes, which came up, including Gozape here where we are. Some people feel that they are above the law and they just want to remain. There are certain districts in Abuja which you know. If, for the purpose of just this discussion, if you talk about Maitama, Asokoro, Gozape, everybody wants to find himself state. So whatever it takes to have a property here, people will insist they want to do, even if it entails doing the wrong thing. These are our offenders. And we cannot fold our arms and noting that your action and by our inaction, we will be putting so many at risk. We will not allow that. And that is the position of the Honorable Minister. And I think he has given us this real, he has given us this support and assurance. If you know you're doing the right thing and it's about the right thing, just explain to him. And he likes even going to sites. Once he sees that this is not an admissible, he will not. He will tell you, point blank then, there is no way that this can be accommodated. I'm sorry. And it will go. It will go.
Have there been many people like that so far?
I can tell you a lot. That is for another day. When we are doing the review, we encounter things that we cannot be, we report to him, in our memos, he order, go ahead and you must report back to confirm that you have cleared those distortions.
Just so people
there are those that maybe could have some point. If they have to be accommodated, I'm saying where is a tolerable one, then we now take the option of this penalty.
And you give him penalty.
Penalize, yes.
Welcome back. We are still speaking with the Executive Secretary of the FCTA. In this segment, he walks us through what the new reviews are and what they seek to handle. Some people have, people responding really to this story about the review of the Abuja Masterplan. It's been welcomed in many quarters, but there's a phrase that people keep saying: you can't demolish everything. You can't demolish everything. That's what people keep saying.
Let me
you
tell
can't demolish everything.
In planning, I think you slated this program for 4 o'clock. Before then, you must have had some other things. And after that, you will still have some other things. So it's your own pattern of planning how to take up your programs. And of course, even the airing time is the same thing with developing or building a new city. You have to plan and appropriate. This must be here, this should be here. At a point in time, this should start off here, or this, where we find this coming off here is going to be a burden. When you are doing that, planning is a dynamic. Let's get to that. It's a dynamic. It's not too sacrosanct, like a Bible or Quran. Where you find arising from our behavioral and other mentalities, and of course other things that were not envisaged. Advancement in technology. This is a planning I told you we did in 1979. The document was admitted in 1979, at which point we don't have some of the advances in technology that has come to be in the world now. The world is tending towards smart city. I understand it's one of the forum of the topic at this Kefi press call retreat.
It's because the minister said it. He said there's no going back from turning Abuja into a smart city.
Now, for you to incorporate the smart city concept, there are certain things we may have to bring up in tune with time, technology. So those are the things that will now form the focus of a master plan review. We want to call it the Abuja International Conference. And the conference will dwell on looking at where we were and where we are now and where we want to be. When you have a population of 5,000 or 50,000 or 200,000 or 3 million, you had proportion what shall be their intake of water, their demand on electrical power supply, they are managing their discharges also, waste also. Where the population has increased, you have to increase the water requirement, you have to increase the power demand that they will, and then you have to equally make available provisions for the discharge facilities of their waste also. All these are things that the Abuja Master Plan will look at. We had no phase 5 before. Now there is phase 5 incorporated on the order of the then President Olusegun Obasanjo. This has increased onto the city. When phase 1 to 4 were to be a target population of 3 million, phase 5 has introduced almost half the size of phase 1 to 4. This must be provided for in terms of all these social services that will allow for functionality. Now beyond phase 5, we're even going up to Giri. These are all development to be accommodated within the city. This we are talking of well beyond 7 to 8 million. All these are things that the Abuja Master Plan must take into cognizance and try to provide for. Of course, along with the development of the city, was envisaged to develop satellite town environments, which is supposed to relieve pressure on facilities for the city. These have not been able to meet up concurrently because, of course, competing demands on the land resources that come to the city. So these are some of the issues that the Abuja Master Plan is seeking to address. And hopefully, we are making case, and we have interest has really been signified from so many quarters, like you have said, from our professional bodies, and of course international organization and donor organization.
When do you think the review will be done? Is there a timeline?
Actually, it was meant to have been presented, processed to the Federal Executive Council before the demise of the last administration. We are now allowing this administration to settle, and will still and it's good that he has already come with this enigma, the one to really process that. Yes, so we will likely present before the end of this year.
The end of the year.
So that he may now process with the Federal Executive
Is there some
Council.
cost attached to the review?
Not as such. Yes, of course, the cost will be hidden costs. Because eventually it will entail having to provide for what was not originally envisaged. So I think for the cost element, we just, in any case, we need consultants, professional consultants, to also work on it. It's at a fee. And these are things, but they are things that too abysmal to consider as if it's a thing to stop us working. Okay.
Well, before we let you go, what should the Abuja residents be expecting from the reviewed master plan? What kind of city should they expect?
A city that will be all-inclusive, a city that will seek to restore some of the facilities that will have provided for not only residential, commercial, and industrial or other institutional, but recreational facilities that will also make you to feel, yes, this is a place I want to be. There are cities all over. Of the one that comes to mind, Dubai, Doha. People like to rush to places like that. They didn't just grow Miami or whatever. This place didn't just fall from heaven. They didn't just like that. They were the result of the planning of their own people. And we must bring this, and we can do it. And we are doing it. All we need are to get people with that pushfulness that we are having in the Master Project. And you can see that it's already taken a lot of change. The city is wearing a lot of look. And all has been the issue of funding in the past. This man knows how to get his funds. Finances, especially by enhancing his IGR. He has already broken the jinx, and of course, access to national budgets. In the past, FCT was just getting minimal funding from them, not up to 20 billion. In all the trillion you hear announced, that was what was coming to FCT. Now he has gotten his way. Even just at the supplementary national budget that was passed, FCT drew about 100 billion, and that is a milestone.
100 billion?
Yes, and he is sinking that for people to see that, yes, Wiki is working.
Well, we do have to wrap it up there, but I want to thank you so much, sir, for making out the time to speak to us on
Kele, you know, it's always a pleasure coming to be on your program, because you also provide for us the opportunity to echo to the public that this is the working in FCT. So it's always a pleasure. And I want to register the goodwill of the Honorable Minister, because I spoke with him before I even came, and he's delighted that things are being done the right way. So it's a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thanks to my guest and to everyone who spoke to us today on the program. The metro area population of Abuja in 2022 was 3,652,000, a 5.43% increase from 2021. And that's just the metro area. The United Nations estimates that in 2032, that figure could hit over 10 million people. Listening to my guest, I get the feeling that the planning for the nation's capital is one that should continue to evolve. And he did say the realities of our country are reflected in this reviewed Abuja master plan. Subsequent administrations must bear this in mind and provide the necessary political will to ensure we have the Abuja of our dreams. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Magwa. See you next time.